I didn't really understand climate change in the 90s. I started to read about it, and I think I first picked up a book about it in 95, and been on that journey ever since, and now realize that we really have a problem. We have emission CO2 in the atmosphere that's almost twice as high as there's ever been in the last 800,000 years. So we've got to shift the energy system to clean power as quickly as possible. Quite a while back, in the early 2000s, we kind of pioneered the idea that you could buy electricity or energy directly from clean energy generators like wind farms, solar parks, and we were tossing and turning on how to do it, and we actually managed to do our first deal with Sainsbury's actually back in 2008, and that was really a disruptive way of buying energy, which is now copied by Google and Apple and Amazon. And what we do is we make it easier for companies to buy energy directly from solar and wind farms. It's always been even after 13 years of this product being out there, it's a complex thing to do. I mean, typically the contracts can run to 130 pages. To buy electricity from a wind farm or a solar park was really, really hard. And so what we've done is we've standardized, we've simplified, we've shrunk those arrangements. And so now very small companies, relatively small companies, can now buy on those arrangements. We've got to make it easier for generators to sell their energy, and for consumers to buy it. And if we're going to build thousands and thousands of wind farms and thousands of solar parks, then they're going to need financing. And the way that they get financing is that they need to enter into contracts to sell that power at prices which obviously make a return on the investment. And really the only buyers are long-term off-takers for that, corporates. So we've got to make it a lot easier for companies to buy clean energy. And if we can achieve that goal, then we can really expand and promote the growth of clean energy in the UK. We did a deal with 22 universities in the UK, late 2019. It's a relatively small deal. It's something like £4 million of electricity a year. However, the smallest university in there was buying maybe only a few £100,000 worth of electricity a year on a 10-year deal. That deal wouldn't be possible using kind of the old style contracting approach. So it really kind of democratizes corporate PPAs. People look at it and say that's the way Google buys, but they've got all the money, and they've got the capacity and the people to enter into those contracts. It's too difficult for me. It's too complex. But actually, what we've done is simplified it, standardized it, and shrunk it. This is just an enormous problem and an enormous opportunity. So within these solving these issues can be an opportunity for different businesses, and we've got our particular niche, our focus on helping new to earth wind and solar assets get built, but there's a whole host of other things that need to be done. I mean, I'm really excited about the transition to electric vehicles. I know a lot of people are concerned about how the batteries and the manufacture of batteries, they're concerned about how far the cars can go. But actually, when you look at the technology and how that's improving, it won't be too long, I don't think, in the next maybe 3 years, 5 years, where an EV will be able to travel maybe 500, maybe 1,000 miles on a single charge. And electric vehicles are way more efficient than petrol vehicles or diesel. I don't think people actually understand that. So they look at them and say they're a little bit more expensive. That'll change. They don't go as far as a fossil, as a gasoline car. That'll change. So then when you look at it and say, well, actually, look at how efficient they are. You can run an electric vehicle for a fifth of the cost of running a petrol vehicle. So that's I think an exciting space. There's always been a huge opportunity in building efficiency, but I think we need to push on that one. And I think ultimately you've got to realize that what's good for the planet is good for your bottom line. Customers are attracted to sustainable brands. They're attracted to sustainable products. Investors are really attracted to sustainability as the ESG movement is so huge now. I think a third of the world's capital is now is focused on ESG opportunities. And being sustainable means meeting the needs of the present without, compromising the ability for future generations to meet their needs. But actually, there's only 3 suppliers in the domestic market that actually are contracted to wind, solar, and hydro that are really, clean energy, I would say, because there is another issue there that renewable also includes things like biomass, which we don't think is clean. So you've got to. So we're in the industry. We're selling clean energy, and we're pretty much the only I&C, industrial commercial supplier, who is also 100% clean. But in setting up the business, we also thought about how we wanted to operate. So this is my 3rd startup growth company now. So we decided to set up the business remotely because I wanted to recruit people from all over the world. I wanted to get the best people. I didn't want them to travel into the office and trudge into the office. I wanted them to be able to spend time with their kids in the morning at breakfast, they could take them to school, just really making the business from the outset a great place for people to work. We do come to the office periodically to get together, and you have those spark moments, innovation moments that you need to get people into an office. So we've saved on office space, we've saved on travel. When we set the business up, we decided to become a B Corp right from the outset. So we put legally bound ourselves to sustainability goals in our articles of association. The electricity market, the I&C, the industrial commercial market, where there's very established, very, very large companies, and trying to disrupt that market would be practically impossible if I came in and just sold common garden electricity, fossil fuel electricity, or worse still, I bought fossil fuel electricity, which many of them do, or generate it from coal or gas, and then buy renewable certificates and badge that electricity as clean or renewable. You've got to disrupt the market, that's established like that with a completely new product, and that's what we're doing, and that's really we've attracted some of the world's leading companies because we can give them an audit trail right the way back to a wind farm or a solar park, which they can't get in many of their existing supply arrangements. Many companies know what they do and how they do it, but they haven't really thought about why they do it. So it's important to try and work out why. And if you really want to tie your business to sustainability, then your whys, your what's, your hows need to be aligned with your sustainability objectives. Ours is to accelerate the world's transition to clean energy. We'd like to play a part in that. We won't be the only people doing that. So just getting that messaging right, just getting that position right, and then living it. That's the first one. Get your shareholders on board. So we've kind of got the product right now for the UK. It's working. It's operational, and it works really well. We've got the target customer right. We started off with smaller customers, looking at smaller customers, and realized actually the bigger opportunity is with larger corporates who actually, many of them are really pushing on this ESG agenda. And so those 2 things are working in the UK. We've got our product set right. We've got our customer set right. So we're just going to go for growth in the UK. And then the other one is geography. And I think what we do in the UK can be applied to, other European markets. And then the other thing is just decide how big you want the business to be. I think a lot of people go into business not really thinking about that. And some of the more experienced entrepreneurs I know say, I don't want it to go above 50 people. I don't want it to go 100 people. I got friends who say, I want it to be 1,000 people. They're very different. Those are very different businesses, and they go on very different paths, and they require very different amounts of capital typically, and very different CEOs. One thing I would say is don't leave your dog wandering around when you're having an interview.